In a season full of, honestly God, sequels, a whole lot of sequels, one of the ones that I was excited for the most was Dr. Stone's second season, Stone Wars. I've heard a lot of hyping up from a few people that have read Dr. Stone's manga, and I have to say, after watching this season, it was not disappointing at all. It was, in all honesty, one of my favorite sequels from this season, and it kept me wanting to watch it week after week. Whenever it was whenever it came on, I was like, you know what, I'm gonna watch it. Every episode has left me satisfied and wanting more. That's all you could really ask for any type of show. But Dr. Stone itself, the second season, was more or less brilliant. If you're new to the channel, I do anime and manga reviews, and this is not my first time talking about Dr. Stone. Over a year and a half ago, I reviewed season 1 of the series, and I gave it a 9 out of 10 due to how much I enjoyed it, though it did have a few problems, in my honest opinion, but that were more minor nitpicks than actual real-world problems. But the second season got rid of all of those criticisms I had and even improved upon what was already pre-established and what we were given. This season of Dr. Stone was more or less brilliant in the fact that its storytelling, its pacing, its characters, animation, its soundtrack, everything about it was just pure hype and enjoyment throughout. So why not we get straight into the video. Before then, please like and subscribe to the channel. It really does help, and hit the notification bell for updates on future videos. You have to click the bell in order to get notified whenever I upload. Otherwise, you will probably miss whatever I make in the future. And it does help out the channel because the more interactions and subscribers I get, the more I can grow, and the more videos I can make weekly to help give you guys some pretty damn good videos throughout the coming weeks. So, Dr. Stone, Stone Wars. Honestly, a really nice change of pace from the first season. The first season was 24 episodes, and this second season was less than half. 11 whole episodes. Now, I thought there was going to be another 24 episode season, but no, 11 episodes. I was like, are they going to really put an entire arc called Stone Wars into 11 episodes? And then I remembered, that's actually possible, because a lot of full season shows of 24 episodes have at least 2, possibly 3 arcs to make up the whole season. And it makes perfect sense for the reason that multiple chapters can be adapted very quickly, and in all honesty, if there's action in it, then it makes sense why multiple chapters will be covered per episode. I don't know the amount of chapters used to make up these episodes, I'm sure someone will mention in the comments, but the story of the second season is essentially what Senku and the members of Ichikami Village were setting up for at the end of the first season, and that was essentially a siege of Tsukasa's empire, getting everyone weapons, particular scientific advancements to help give them the edge in a battle during the winter, the works, and giving us a whole bunch of new scientific weapons and tools to make their lives easier. Hell, the first 2 episodes, or at least the first episode and a half, are centered more or less similarly to season 1. Little explanations of how Senku makes things using everything around him, whether it be trying to create instant noodles, to making little balloons that can give tiny sonic booms, to even making a freaking tank made out of paper that can, no pun intended, tank large-scale hits. The way Dr. Stone has always made all these different objects in like a primitive world, thanks to Senku's knowledge of all things science, makes it a hell of a lot enjoyable, and this season just makes it even more. We get the roadmaps on what can be made with these objects, and hell, there are still times when we are given the warning of not doing this at home. These are actual things that can happen. I do kind of enjoy it. The story doesn't just focus on our members of Ichikami Village, which they do get some really ample screen time, especially Chrome, but we also revisit and see what's going on in Tsukasa's army and how things are going there. We even see Taiju and Yuzuriha again, and let's just say we get a nice reunion between the two of them and Senku that honestly can nearly bring you to tears. Because remember, a whole year has lapsed between the start of Dr. Stone and him and those 3 separating to this point right now. So this was a reunion I did not expect so early, but it was welcome, and I could not have wanted it in any better way. The story just kept getting better and better as the events kept leading up, introducing us to new characters, making things a bit more complex, because Senku's main goal in this battle against Tsukasa is for this to be a bloodless siege, to win without ever really needing to fight. and he comes up with a really good plan involving the cell phone that he created last season. And yes, if you are new to Dr. Stone and you are watching this video for whatever reason, Senku managed to make he basically managed to make a big ass cell phone for communication purposes, which is all kinds of impressive, if you ask me. That's just putting aside the fact that he made a freaking tank with making a blank fire round. I just say we see a whole lot of stuff that Senku manages to make in the season, not as much as season 1, but enough to be like, yep, this is definitely Dr. Stone, and this is still as enjoyable as ever. The thing that I liked about the story told throughout this arc is that nothing was rushed. It was short. The season itself, not counting the first episode, due to the fact that the first couple minutes was recap of what happened in season 1, and then we get into the actual canon material. So it was more or less 10 and a half episodes to adapt the whole arc and for this whole season, and it was just that damn good. The pacing was actually pretty streamlined. It wasn't dragged out, nothing was done too quickly. It was, for me, the pretty good pace. Nothing seemed to be skipped over, nothing seems to be getting dragged along, because like I said, there were some moments in Dr. Stone, primarily in like the middle portion of the first season, that I felt like some aspects were dragged out, whether it be the flashback with Senku's dad, or possibly some moments with him and Chrome and Kohaku and trying to make these different scientific materials and objects, feeling like they could have just taken like less than a couple of minutes, and they didn't have to go do everything to take up almost an entire episode to make one or two things. But here, we get the process, and we don't have to spend the entire episode searching for what we need. And again, Dr. Stone, like I said in the first season, reignited my love of science. I loved science as a kid, and Dr. Stone just reignited that. And I just love the fact that that we're seeing in Dr. Stone, once again, reiterated, can be done in real life. So that's just it's still pretty insane. But I can say a lot more about the story. The story itself is pretty streamlined, the pacing is pretty well done, and what it adds to the characters, whether it be the new ones or the ones that we have been previously shown, it makes things even more enjoyable. Characters grow, they become way more important than they should, or maybe they could have been more important later down the road. But this season makes every character we've seen valuable and vital to the operation to win this Stone War. Speaking of the characters, Senku is the same as always, but we still get more emotion and more how he is kind of good at planning things out. We see Taiju and Yuzuriha again, since they were pretty much absent from the entire first season, aside from, the very first arc of the season. And seeing them again with Senku and what Yuzuriha's secret mission in the Tsukasa Empire was just a really nice treat and something completely unexpected. And a bunch of complexity with the characters, because it seems that not everyone was 100% all in with what was going on. Some characters swap sides, some characters want to play both sides, somehow have ulterior motives. It's a level of complexity that for like a shonen series you don't fully expect, but for a season to basically come up with like a war and the whole point of you winning is so that no one dies or is very badly injured makes total sense. You need some good strategy, you need to think ahead, and a lot of these characters are pretty smart with what they're doing and have their own talents that really make or break whatever Senku or Tsukasa are planning to do to each other and how each of them is going to win this Stone War. Pretty much every character has their moments in this battle. It's not just a full-on fight. I mean, most of the season is either fights or setup for the fight, but the way it's told and that the characters' interactions and their overall actions makes it all worthwhile, and you do not get bored of it. I can honestly say I was not bored with this season whatsoever. Once again, the characters for Dr. Stone make the whole show just work, make it incredibly enjoyable, and makes you not want to stop laughing. Yeah, laughing. Facial expressions for this series are still some of the funniest I've seen in a long time. And again, I'm going to have to mention One Piece there because One Piece has a lot of pretty hilarious facial expressions, but I'm not going to talk about One Piece in another video again because I do not want to be that guy that mentions One Piece in everything. Or do I? Anyway, the comedy is still top notch, the characters are still as amazing as ever, even the new characters that we get introduced to in this one season become incredibly likable, and you want to see more of them, even when they're just introduced, and you want to know more about their past, who they are, and what their motivations for doing what they're doing are. But that's about it for the characters, because I'm not going to spoil anything. You gotta watch this season for yourself. Moving on, we have the soundtrack, and let's just say the soundtrack is honestly pretty damn awesome. The opening for this season kind of had to grow on me. I wasn't the biggest fan of it at first, but after episode after episode, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I would, and it was honestly pretty damn catchy. I can still kind of have the song playing in my head. It's kind of stuck in there, but it was still pretty enjoyable. It gives some really good foreshadowing and even some hints of what's going to happen within this season, and that's all you can really ask for an opening. The ED was honestly pretty enjoyable too, though I have to say I enjoyed the opening a hell of a lot more than the ED, but that's just my personal opinion. The rest of the soundtrack was still pretty damn good. We still had some stuff carried over from the first season, but what we got that was new was still pretty enjoyable and pretty damn catchy. Overall, Dr. Stone Wars is a brilliant sequel, and I have to rank this as close to a 10 out of 10 as possible at 9.5 out of 10. It's so close to being a perfect 10. I want to make it a 10 out of 10, but I don't know if I should. I want to be kind of impartial with this. Considering how much I enjoyed the first season, I could just make this a 10 out of 10 straight off, but I feel like it's more fair if I give it a close to perfect rating. I know some of you might be a bit disappointed with how I've stated this, but one thing that I kind of wished for the season was that it was a little bit longer, giving us some more good moments. But I do want to state that Dr. Stone had some really great character moments, some really awesome action set pieces, the animation was still top notch, and it gives you some really emotional moments that really hit you in the feels that you did not expect, especially with the last episode of this season. Overall, Dr. Stone Wars, brilliant sequel, a 9.5 out of 10, very close to being the perfect show right now, and I just can't wait for more, especially with how the second season left us off with a particular cliffhanger that could introduce us to a character that, according to a friend of mine, is pretty awesome and one of his favorites. Overall, this season was by definition brilliant. Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. I really do appreciate you listening to some of my ramblings during this video. I did want this to be more orderly, but you know, these things tend to happen. I also want to announce that I am actually going to start reading the Dr. Stone manga right after this season, and I believe at this point I'm recording I'm on chapter 89, 88, around there. And I'm already enjoying it, and I cannot wait for the third season to come out. And yeah, there's not really much to talk about, but yeah, I'm really excited to read this manga. Maybe I'll cover it in the future, you never know. But this was a very enjoyable season, and I can't wait for more Dr. Stone. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a like and comment down below on what you thought and what you think is going to happen in the future of Dr. Stone. If you're anime only, if you're a manga reader, please do not spoil it for any anime onlys. It is not cool. And don't forget to subscribe to their channel and hit the notification bell for updates on future videos. You really have to hit the notification bell to get updated for whenever I upload if you're not following me on Instagram and Twitter at the Greek Weeb. But with all that said and done, I really hope you guys enjoyed this video and look forward to more videos similar to this in the future. And with all that said and done, I hope you all have an awesome day.